Last phase of struggle for independence. Exercise. Q1. Rewrite the statements by choosing the appropriate options. Andaman and Nicobar. August Kranti, Vinoba Bhave _ was the first satyagraha of individual satyagraha. Answer. Vinoba Bhave was the first satyagraha of individual satyagraha. The individual satyagraha was introduced by Gandhiji. The main aim was not to gain independence but to gain the right to speech. Careful selection of satyagrahas was made by Gandhiji that promoted nonviolence. The first satyagraha to be selected was Vinoba Bhave, who was sent to jail when he spoke against the war. Q1. B. Rewrite the statements by choosing the appropriate options. Andaman and Nicobar, August Kranti, Vinoba Bhave. The nationwide movement of 1942 is also called August Kranti. Answer. On August 8, 1942, Mahatma Gandhi and the All India Congress Committee (AICC) launched the Quit India movement in Bombay session. The movement was launched in August and was also known as August Movement or August Kranti. This movement was to fight against the Britishers. After which the British responded by arresting all the major leaders. After the arrest, AICC leader Aruna Asaf Ali hosted the Indian flag. So this day is celebrated as August Kranti Diwas to remember the historic Quit India movement. Q1. C. Rewrite the statements by choosing the appropriate options. Andaman and Nicobar, August Kranti, Vinoba Bhave. In November 1943, Japan conquered islands and handed them over to Azad Hind government. Answer. In November 1943, Japan conquered Andaman and Nicobar Islands and handed them over to Azad Hind government. The Japanese army had conquered the group of islands called Andaman and Nicobar Islands, in the Bay of Bengal. It was conquered during the Second World War. Prior to this, Britishers had held a permanent control over this island. The Indian and African prisoners who had committed a crime under the British Empire in India were sent to these islands for punishment. Q2. Explain the following statements with reasons. In November 1939, provincial ministers of Indian National Congress gave their resignations. Answer. The provincial elections in British India were held in 1936–1937. These elections were a result of the Government of India Act 19, which made the action of elections compulsory. In the same time, Lord Viceroy had declared that India would also be argumentative in the Second World War. This implied a war between India and Germany. The decision was taken without asking the Indians. Although the Indian National Congress won in all the 8 provinces, many provincial leaders such as Muhammad Ali Jinnah leaders had resigned as a sign of protest against Lord Viceroy's action. Q2. B. Explain the following statements with reasons. The Indian National Army had to lay down their arms. Answer. The Indian Army trials of captured members began on 5 November 1945 at the Red Fort in Delhi. The Commander-in-Chief of the British Indian Army had reported that the Indian Army would accept these trials as the majority view is that they are all traitors. He believed that the INA returnee troops would be overwhelmed by the loyalist British Indian Army troops who would be returning to the same villages and towns. But some people knew that there was already a good interaction between the INA prisoners and British Indian Army loyalists for a long time. During the war, there was a complete blackout in India about any news of INA, and the actual role of INA as a freedom army was not reported. So when the newspapers began to carry details report about the trial, the vast majority of Indians began hearing it for the first time. They came to know about the army who was ready to lay down their life so that India could be free. They also studied about the ill-equipped and poorly supplied system. This had a huge impact on the nation, and they began to be seen as heroes fighting for the freedom of the country. Q2. C. Explain the following statements with reasons. The parallel government became a source of inspiration to the people. Answer. Parallel government means an alternative government. The motive behind setting up this parallel government was to protect the masses from exploitation as well as to provide a source of income and fight against social inhibitions. This form of government encouraged women's participation in the movement for freedom. Many eminent political personalities had worked for women's education or the social reform movements that have ignored a large number of women suffering tremendously directly or indirectly. This parallel government introduced many facilities such as market system supply and distribution of food grains to settle disputes, penalization of robbers and moneylenders. Law and order were entirely in their hands. Under this government, an army called Tupin Sena was formed. It harassed the British government by attacking its major establishments like the railways and postal department. This parallel government inspired the people in the united struggle against the British rule irrespective of the caste, creed, religion and language. Q3. Complete the following table. Answer. Forward Bloc was founded by Subhash Chandra Bose. He thought that the masses were ready for an immediate struggle and so he formed the Forward Bloc within the Congress. Indian Independence League was founded, Ras Behari Bose. It operated from the 1920s to the 1940s to organize those living outside India into seeking the removal of British colonial rule over India. Tupin Sena was founded by the parallel government in Satara district of Maharashtra from August 1943 to May 1946 against British rule. Q4. Answer the following questions in brief. How do you find the contribution of Shirish Kumar to be inspirational? Answer. Shirish Kumar Mehta was an Indian revolutionary and a freedom fighter. When Gandhiji had launched his Quit India movement in 1942, he supported it. He was also a part of the leading procession in Nandurbar. The police have launched a lathi charge on the protesters as soon as the procession reached near them. Shirish Kumar has the Indian national flag. The police opened fire at them when the lathi charge could not work in their favor. One of the policemen pointed his gun towards a group of girls when he said, "If you want to fire, then shoot me." The police officer fired 3 bullets at him which pierced his chest, and he died. He gave a very important message through his life that it is very important to have courage and commitment. Not only the leader who can win the war but the team together. Q4. Answer the following questions in brief. Why did the British Prime Minister send Sir Stafford Cripps to India? Answer. Sir Stafford Cripps had come to India during World War II to discuss with the nationalist leaders of India about a system of self-governance through dominion status. It was a promise by the British that a proper election would be held after the war has ended. But the main aim of the British government to send Sir Stafford Cripps to India was to assemble Indian cooperation and support to the British rule against their opponents in World War II. When he arrived, he tried to satisfy all the communities with his proposal. However, many people did not trust his ideas and policies. There was a little trust between British and Indians as both the sides felt that they were not 100% revealing their true plans. This mission failed due to 3 reasons. 1. The Indian National Congress rejected this offer due to Gandhiji's opposition. 2. Cripps had modified the original offer, but still, it provided for no real transfer of power. 3. The Viceroy and Secretary of State for India continued their mission to sabotage India. Q4. Answer the following questions in brief. What kind of reaction was seen during the spread of news of the arrest of main leaders of the Indian National Congress? Answer. The arrest of the main leaders of the Indian National Congress caused widespread anger and outrage among the Indian people. Many protests and strikes were organized for the same. Although the leaders were arrested, the movements continued with the same zeal. One such example is the assembling of the people in the Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar, Punjab. The people were peacefully protesting against the arrest of 2 national leaders when Colonel Dyer entered with his troops of the British Army. All the 5 entrances were blocked. He ordered the army to open fire on the people. Hundreds of people wounded and many of them died. Project Q1. Prepare a timeline of the events of the struggle of Indian National Army. Answer. 1942 INA formed in Southeast Asia during World War II. Founded by Rasbihari Bose with Captain Mohan Singh. December 1942 Collapse of INA 1943 Revival of INA under Subhash Chandra Bose. February 1944 Battle of the Admix Box in the southern parts of Burma. March 1944 Operation Sea held by Japan. June 1944 Battle of Kohima. July 1944 Battle of Imphal 1945 Battle of Pokoku and Battle of Meiktila and Mandalay. November 1945 Repatriation of troops. November 1945 to May 1946 Trials of troops. Post 1947 commanded by Jawaharlal Nehru. Q2. With the help of the internet collect the pictures of Quit India movement of 1942 and organize an exhibition on the occasion of a national day. Answer. Quit India movement.